there's so much to talk about in this
Yeah.
chapter. Like, we can go in.
Welcome to From Cover to Code, the Technology Book Club. Join us as we discuss artificial intelligence, DevOps, software development, cloud computing, and more. With your hosts, Angela Andrews and Michael Jenkins. The next episode of From Cover to Code starts now.
And we are live and in the building. How are you doing today, Angela?
Oh, I'm doing amazing. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Let me tell you, and just for context, I'm getting back from a trip to Accra and Kumasi, Ghana, and let me tell you, it was life-changing. It was a really, really good trip. All aspects were very good. From getting there to getting back, and everything in between, the activities that we did, the tours that we had, were top notch. Really fell in love with the Ghanaian people and their culture, and also had an opportunity to volunteer and give back at an elementary school in Kumasi.
Yes.
I did a STEM activity with some sixth graders led by the indomitable Dr. Nicole Jenkins, my wife. And I know just being able to contribute to their development and really the appreciation that they showed was, I mean, it made your boy get a little misty, you know.
That's okay.
Yeah, but they were super sharp. Once we explained the lesson to them, we went through the tenets of science, technology, engineering, and math, and then Nicole explains sort of the engineering process of working with requirements and a specification, and using the materials that you have on hand to complete an engineering task. And then we challenged them to build a tower out of straws and tape, and use rulers and scissors. You know, those were their tools: a ruler to make sure it met the minimum spec, and they had tape and scissors and like 30 straws to build the tallest tower they could to hold 2 ping pong balls for 10 seconds. And once they grasped the idea behind it, they took to it. And yeah, I saw some really ingenious implementations, I'll say that. But yeah, they were super, super appreciative of us coming out, and it was a really, really good time.
Oh, I'm glad you had that experience, that opportunity, not just to, go to Africa and, where we're from, but to be able to be such an impactful human being in the lives of kids. And they say 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, these are the ages where things start to stick. Things start to embed themselves, and such an amazing age where the kids are sponges anyway, but to be able to catch them at that age in their development and maybe spark some type of inspiration and where they'll take their studies next is pretty awesome. And I'm really proud of you that you did that, and I hope you get to do it again.
As do I. I mean, we're already making plans to do what we can to support this school. And the sorority sister that we work with, she works with multiple schools in Kumasi, and students beyond high school. She works with college students, high school students, and elementary school students. So we're already thinking of ways that we can help and give back, and looking forward to being a part of the matriculation of these students.
I love that.
From elementary all the way through college until they themselves are doctors and engineers and lawyers and, making the changes for the future. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
That's beautiful.
Indeed. Meanwhile, while I was on planes, the hours that I spent on planes getting to like a day and some time to get there, a day and a half to get back or whatever, I was reading AWS Certified AI Practitioner Study Guide.
I love that you were doing that. Okay. Yeah. On vacation, no doubt.
Yeah, well, I wanted to be prepared for this discussion because I mean, this is we're literally we're on the precipice of taking this exam, right? It's coming up. So I didn't want to slack off. I mean, I did take off work. So I mean, work's gonna be there, right? But I wanted to be ready for this discussion and yeah, as sharp as I can be for this exam because there's a lot, man. And it's like this last couple chapters, security, compliance, and governance, it added even more
I know.
to it. I'm like, oh my God.
And it was there was a service in here, and I was like, wait, did they mention this earlier? Like you
Hmm.
you mentioning this at the end? What? How you doing that? So it was still you're still learning up into the
Yes.
very end. It is imparting more and more wisdom, more and more understanding of how generative AI in particular works, but then of course how it runs and how to secure it and do it on AWS. So yeah, we were learning up until the very end of the book. So
Yeah.
don't skimp if this is what you're reading or you're using it to support your studies for the exam. Get to the end of it because there's
Yes.
more content, much more content to absorb.
By all means. But yeah, with that said, let's get right into it. Chapter 9, security, compliance, and governance for AI solutions. So we've been reading and studying all along, like how this stuff works, but you just can't put your solutions out there into the world and expect them to be rainbows and unicorns, right? There are bad actors out there that are going to take advantage of your stuff. And there's some things you have to, like line up against industry standards or whatever the case is so that your stuff is good to go. And this is
That's
kind of
right.
what that chapter goes into.
So what did you think of the chapter? Chapter 9 is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's on the screen.
Yeah. It's there. No, it
Anywho,
was deep. I felt like it was another I won't call it say dump of AWS services, but there's a lot to consider with knowing what service applies to what scenario
yes.
for these things: security, governance, and compliance. So number one, you got to know what those things are: security, governance, and compliance, and then know the tools that fit into each one of those things.
Yes.
And they did have
I
a
think they did it. Let's start. Let's not scare anybody. They did
yes.
a great job in explaining what they were and then going into the tooling in the separate parts
Yeah.
of the security, governance, and compliance. I think this
Yeah.
chapter was very exceptional. The way
Yes.
that it was laid
Yes.
out. So
Yeah, by all means. And I mean, well, and just really quickly, I guess I can, for the sake of this discussion, security, focusing on protecting data and infrastructure. Governance is about guiding the organization wisely, and compliance is making sure the organization follows the rules depending on where they come from. And based on those three things that he went into these layers of security inside AWS.
yes.
And per the usual, I like to have a graphic that helps me kind of follow along the discussion here.
Can I tell you
Um,
something?
yes,
Why was it a circle?
I don't know.
Why was it a circle? I looked at it and I'm looking at your visual here, which speaks to me. This is a much more representative display. You don't is it top to bottom?
Yeah,
And I will say that it wasn't mentioned in a way that led me to believe that there was some order. He did mention that there are the layers of security.
yeah.
um but again, I was still, why a circle?
Yeah, well, I thought a table would have been good,
And
particularly when you're talking about layers.
I agree. I agree.
Um, yeah, and even like going from, I don't know, like the first thing to protect to the last thing that you protect, maybe some sort of ordered
Hmm.
layers at that. Because even now, like in my table that I have on the screen, uh, it's not in the same order that you see them presented in the circle that he
That is
has
correct.
in his diagram.
Do you
Um,
want to dig into it? Do you want to like
yeah,
go through and chit chat about it?
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I guess we start with data protection, keeping everything. I think the number one thing that he had here, well, not even that. I think the one important thing before we get into the security layers, and because they're layers, he mentioned defense in depth.
Yes.
And how there's all these, you need to have these different layers because you might miss something in one particular layer, and you need a plan for another layer to either catch that or call it out to say, hey, the data wasn't encrypted, so I got this IAM role that prevents somebody from accessing it or reading it or something like that.
Correct.
So that
this security approach, the layers, it could be the depth of which the security is baked into the entire infrastructure from the very beginning to the very end. And I don't know if it's layers, but they're all so integral in when you're trying to secure, in this sense, not just your AI environment, but your environment, because it's all AWS, your AWS environment. So you can take a little bit of these gems and it will definitely translate into the cloud practitioner, the solution architect, associate. So because it's AWS, these rules, or excuse me, these services are ubiquitous with securing throughout the enterprise.
Yeah, that's true. It's not just for AI, generative AI. It's across the board, no matter what application you have. So yeah, that's definitely a good point. But so again, not in any particular order of importance per se, but starting with data protection, he mentioned encryption, data at rest and in transit using KMS or key management service, S3, which is your buckets where you're storing your data, and then private link. And there were a lot of mentions of private link. So I feel like that's kind of important for this particular exam.
Yes.
And that's what keeps your data moving. It's not necessarily inside AWS, but between different points in your application.
Yes, it does. Your traffic isn't exposed to the internet if you're using private link. It keeps your data private. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is one you missed. ACM.
Oh, certificate manager.
Yep. As for data protection, when you said at rest and at in transit, it made me think about it. So I looked down in our little circle here, and it does say ACM.
You're right. You're right.
So yes, either you probably have front end certificates on your load balancer or wherever, and yeah, that's another way to protect your data as well. So it goes into, you want to talk about, like, how do we want to, there's so much to talk about in this chapter. Like, we can go in, but I'm gonna let you drive this bus
or plane. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, and I should say, if I missed the service, it was because I was typing this furiously and just getting the bare minimum into this slide to get it going.
Understood.
So, yeah. I'll just go down the list here. The next one was IAM, and for this one, he mentioned roles and policies, multi-function authentication, and using least privilege. So just one particular role doesn't have admin permission to everything. You got to dial that in. For application protection, he mentioned AWS Shield and Cognito. I recall Cognito's for logging people in, for managing user accounts and everything. I'm not immediately familiar with AWS Shield. I've heard it mentioned. I don't think I've used it before. I don't know if you have any insight on that.
Yes. So if I'm remembering, Shield is the Shield free version, which comes with a few security checks, and then there's Shield Advanced when you have like an enterprise account, which comes with many more security checks. And it says again, I know it's a bunch of security checks, but it says here it mitigates denial of service, DOS attacks. So
got it.
It takes it shields your application from any type of attacks. Not any type, but there's a list of rules that it protects against. So I actually remember I feel so stupid that I don't remember like all the ins and outs of the Shield Advance, but it does integrate with WAF, which is your next your next service that you're going to talk about. and it's like real-time attack mitigation. It's one of those
Okay.
things that it's real time. It's not something that is queuing and then provide you with a report and, first, second, third, or mild, critical. No, it I wonder, now that I'm saying it out loud, I
Hmm.
wonder if it works with Event Bridge, if certain types
Hmm.
of things are triggered by Shield. And if it does make it through or something, is there some sort of remediation? Like, could you immediately blacklist or something? I don't know
Yes.
enough about AWS Shield. All I know is like DDoS protection, but a lot of AWS services tend to work together in concert.
Yeah.
So it may, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It just might, because I know that's one thing he did mention for, and I'm jumping ahead here, threat detection and incident response,
Mm-hmm.
where he mentioned Event Bridge triggering a Lambda function to do something.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was another application, AWS config, that's not necessarily in this list, but it can check for resources that if their configuration has changed,
Yes.
it updates Event Bridge calls Lambda, Lambda remediates the resource
Mm-hmm.
and makes the change. So yeah, they're all connected, across the board one way or another.
Awesome.
Cool. Going on to network and edge protection. Of course, you got to have your VPC, your virtual private cloud,
Mm-hmm.
that keeps all your resources localized in your own virtual data center. And then the one that service that I am familiar with, as far as talking about Shield, was AWS WAF, or Web Application Firewall. I have deployed that for web apps. Like you mentioned, it has rules that say, hey, if you get traffic, at this rate, or from this address or this country or whatever, block it, throttle it, do whatever you got to do to protect the application. So, yeah, I'm sure those two probably work together somehow.
Okay.
And then next up was infrastructure protection using IAM policies and network access control lists. So that's just keeping people, either on or off your network, depending on what the access control looks like. And of course, the policies of, what they can do once they get on your particular resources. And I already mentioned threat detection and incident response with AWS Guard Duty, Security Hub, and Event Bridge. Let's see, Guard Duty detects suspicious activity, and then Security Hub, it kind of centralizes all your alerts into one particular spot, so you're not looking across the board trying to find and track down everything. And like we said, Event Bridge kind of it triggers Lambda functions or notifies other services that can do stuff to remediate or revoke whatever needs to be changed in the setup to prevent further intrusions.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, those are the security layers.
Yes. Let's see. Is there anything else that you noted? We did talk about using IAM. Always, it said to use always use the least privilege.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tool called Access Analyzer. Have you used it yet?
I'm trying to think if I want to say I have, but I'm trying to think of the context.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like before, I've had to write IAM policies, and I know I've done. I forget what the name of the service is. It might even be in the IAM console to say, "Hey, what can this policy do?" And it could very well be Access Analyzer, and I'm just not keying in on the name or whatever.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool to say "Hey, I wrote this policy. What can or can I do based on this particular API?" And it'll be like, "Oh, you can, delete all your S3 buckets."
Yay!
And that's what you don't want, right? Or it's like, "Oh, you can only work with this one bucket, and you can only upload, to this particular path," or whatever the case is. And that is more likely what you want, something along those lines.
Exactly. So that was that was the security layer. There's still more to go, because we're talking about, there's a generative AI security scoping matrix.
Yeah. And I had to write this one down too. So I got a little graphic to walk us through this.
Okay.
And you know what this reminded me of, if we can take a step back in time, it reminded me of the DevOps handbook, and how they had the first way, the second way, the third way, or however many ways there were.
Okay.
And I'm like, so this is scope 1 through 5.
Right.
And I can understand this a little bit better, I guess, than going back to the DevOps handbooks, because they kind of build on the
That's exactly right.
complexity of each scope. So scope 1, you really don't have to do too much. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're just out there kind of being happy to log into Chat GPT or whatever. But by the time you get down to scope 5, guess what?
You putting
You
in
got to
that
be
work.
on point. Yeah.
You putting in that work. Everything from 4 to 1 is all on you.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
gathering data. You are training your models. You are fine
Mhm.
tuning your models. You are you're doing all the things. So depending on, I'm going to say, as this chapter says, this is just a framework to
Mhm.
assess assess what your responsibilities are, depending on what your use case is for AI. So be ready, because the more the more hands-on, I'll use the word hands-on, you are when it comes to, fine tuning or pre-training, there's more work for you to do. So it's almost
Mhm.
like the framework just tells you there's a gradient here. And sometimes enterprise apps, I love the fact that it was like the check the number 2, an AI powered calendar app. Well,
Mhm.
it's probably a SaaS product, is very, very little that you need to worry about. But there are things you have to concern yourself with. And then it just gets progressively more embedded, and
Mhm.
more needs to be done by you versus a third party or anything like that. So that's the scoping matrix.
Yeah. Okay, and I'll just run through really
Yep.
quickly each one, so that we're, for the listeners out there that might not be able to see this chalkboard that I have here in the video. Scope 1 are consumer applications, and these are public AI without any customizations. So you just log in, you have access to the service, and you can do what you need to do with that. And the example is Chat GPT. Basically, you're logging in. Scope 2 are your enterprise applications, and these are business software with some sort of embedded AI. And like you said, Angela, this is some sort of software as a service that has AI, as a part of it. The example that he gave, like you mentioned, was the AI powered calendar. It says, hey, you got meetings on this day and this day. Don't schedule another meeting because you'll be too busy. And the AI
Mm-hmm.
figured that out for you.
Yep.
Scope 3 are the pre-trained models, and these are custom applications using some sort of third-party model. And this is where, like, you're using Bedrock, which gives you access to the third-party models
Right.
to build your chatbot. So you're not building the whole thing, or rather, you're not building everything from the model up. You're just accessing the model through your own little, setup. Maybe giving it some well, and he mentions control over integration and data. So you still got some responsibility, but it's not
That's
as
true.
great. But then it starts to level up a little bit. Scope 4, you're working with fine-tuned models where you're still using existing models, but you're customizing them with your own proprietary data. And the example he gave here was a brand-specific content generator. So this would be something that you've taken the model, you've trained it on your company's style and colors and history, and now you can use this thing to generate, whatever you need to do for your particular brand. So you got to control much more of the setup there. And then if you want to take it all the way to scope 5, where you're using self-trained models,
Mm.
you, sir, you, madam, are building these models from scratch, from the ground up. So you're getting all the training data, you're getting all the GPUs, I mean, whatever it takes
Yeah.
to build these models from scratch. And then once you got that model, you still gotta maybe fine-tune them, maybe add some more training, build your enterprise application, and then make it available for people to use, perhaps internally or perhaps externally as a consumer application. So there's a whole lot going on with that scope 5
It is.
situation.
It is.
Yeah,
So it
lots going
the
on
next
there.
the next part of that section, it said, for each scope, AWS emphasizes 5 critical security disciplines. Again, we're still in the security section.
Mm-hmm.
So it mentions governance and compliance, establishing
Mm-hmm.
those policies and procedures to manage your risks. legal and privacy, right? If there's any type of user data, you have to protect your users' privacy. It mentions risk management and being able to identify threats and implementing those mitigation steps if something does happen. Having controls, so applying security controls appropriate to the level of responsibility. So whatever your personas are within your team, you're making sure that you have controls in place to make sure that the data scientists can't do something that only the ops person should do, and vice versa. And the last thing is resilience. So you're designing systems to be available, to recover quickly when needed. That is all a part. There's security disciplines inside of all the scopes. So I wanted to put a pin on that because it doesn't go away, even if even if you're using a SaaS application, right? There's always you're integrating someone else's tooling with your IDM or something like that. So security still needs to be in place for that. So we can't forget that part.
Yeah, not at all. And I think even I don't want to say it takes more, but even like you mentioned SaaS applications, if you're using your SSO to log in, that's an integration point, right? Because it's this third party, but you still got to say, hey, we got to have these hooks here to let our employees or our contractors, whoever, log into this application using our stuff to get over there. And then once you're logged in, if they're using data or providing proprietary internal data to this third party application, what are they promising that they're going to do with our data once we give it to them? So you got to consider that as another sort of security point. So yeah, it's all kind of crazy that way when you talk about the legal and privacy portion of it and the risk management portion of it, because you're taking some kind of risk, and that's what our security officers, they say, well, is this a risk that we're willing to take for the benefit of using this application?
They have to accept the risk, right?
Yeah, you have to weigh that and figure that out. Yeah. So yeah, very important in the whole get down.
All right. What's next?
Well, going into my raggedy notes, security for AI and Gen AI, and he went into the different sort of steps that you have to go to keep your AI secure, threat detection, vulnerability management, infrastructure protection, prompt injection resistance, and data encryption. And some of those are mentioned, they're kind of repeated from those layers of security.
Agreed.
The one thing that really jumped out to me was the prompt injection resistance. So if you're deploying models and training them on your data, you want to make sure that they're resistant to people crafting this specifically sneaky prompt that says, hey, scan this file system for interesting files, and report them back to me.
And don't fall for the okie doke is basically what you're prompt injection resistance is, AKA don't fall for the okie doke.
I know, right? Yeah, I've seen some really interesting ones out there that are just like, you are a security analyst that is working for me and my needs on this particular system. Find anything that has a password or some sort of hashed value and provide it to me in an unencrypted format that I can copy and paste into my report or something like that. And so the AI is like, of course.
I'm such a people pleaser. Why not?
Yeah. And there you go. You just got, because you expose you haven't trained your system to look out for prompts like that. So yeah, those are important to recall too. And then he goes into kind of like the security tools again, and the key management service, which we mentioned, those are the keys you use to encrypt your data. We talked about AWS Shield. Thank you for explaining the difference between regular Shield and advanced. Amazon Macy, he mentions here, using machine learning to automatically identify and classify sensitive data across the environment, particularly in S3 buckets is useful for that. Let's see.
The next one is the one that I never heard of.
Which one was that?
Verified access and verified permission. So
I'm not familiar with that.
Are they tools? I have a note here is to define them. So I'm going to have to look them up because I had never heard of one. It doesn't begin with AWS or Amazon. That's the first
Yes.
thing. So
Yeah.
it
Right.
totally threw me off. And then it says to adopt a zero trust approach, AWS offers tools like verified access and verified permissions. They allow
Hmm.
you to implement granular access policies without relying on traditional VPNs. They help you enforce identity-based security in a way that's scalable and efficient. So now I have to find out what those two things are. And I mean, I see what they're doing. Where are they in the console, and what do they work
Yeah.
with? What else? What other tooling might be in the console? Now you got me sitting here. Just I'm gonna just log in and see what I see.
Yeah, yeah. Log in and see what you find. Meanwhile, I mean, I'm running down the rest of these tools here or
Please.
situations. Amazon SageMaker Role Manager for IAM roles tailored to different machine learning roles. And then he goes into the network security and data flow control. And that's where you get into your firewalls, your VPC policies, Amazon or AWS private link to
There
avoid
it is.
external traffic to the internet. Um, yeah,
Oh,
it's all part of that security and data flow control.
all right.
And I will say to our benefit as people studying to take this test,
Mm-hmm.
there is a summary of AWS security tools. There's a table. I don't have it here for us to review or go over, but he lists all the tools, their key features, and the use cases. So I think as a point preparing for the exam, it would make sense to like familiarize ourselves with the tools and how they're used.
Oh my
So
God. I found it.
okay. It's in the console?
It is. It's on the VPC dashboard.
Ah.
And it enables customers to provide secure VPN-less access to their corporate applications. I'm not
Hmm.
even sure how you do that without a
Right.
VPN or direct link, but apparently, yeah, it's makes it easier to enable secure access for corporate applications without requiring a VPN. Built using AWS Zero Trust principles, AWS Verified Access continuously validates each and every application request in real time
Mhm.
before granting access. So verified access and then verified permissions, I'm going to assume it's probably within it's probably within I don't see it here though, but so that's why we look.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I mean, I can I don't know, guess or infer that
There
maybe
it is.
you're looking at the IP address and maybe some other credential or like what I want to say,
Oh,
property of the person accessing the application, and you're checking that every single time they click or type or
yes.
access or whatever.
That's what
And if nothing lines up, you block 'em. He's like, you know what? You
you
change IPs and I don't trust you anymore. So you're done.
so this service is under identity and access management. It's like its own service, but it says manage permissions and fine grain authorization and applications that you build. It's a scalable permissions management and fine grain authorization service for applications that you build. And again, this is one of those let's see. Yeah, it's one of those zero trust applications
Mhm.
because that has been all the rage for the past, I don't know, 5 years.
Yeah.
And this is one of those services that it's probably an amalgamation of other services,
Yeah.
and it is, we're gonna slap a name on it because marketing.
Right.
And now it has its own spot in the console. So
Yeah.
uh
No,
sorry.
that totally makes sense.
Sorry for shading them like that, but that's usually how it happens. That's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
So what else do we have
Oh,
here? I had to mention that because I told you I read something. And I was like, I don't even know what this is. So
yeah. No, that works. Next up,
now I know. Now I know what it is, and I feel so much better.
yeah. Uh, Next up, we go into compliance. And he says straight up, the first line in the compliance section is compliance for AI is complex and must align with evolving legal, ethical, and technical expectations. So that just kind of sets the stage for everything that he, kind of goes into the next discussion, the compliance standards. What else? The compliance tools that you can use for that. And after the compliance tools, the data management concepts, and he has a life cycle for that. And then he goes into governance, which is different from compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So just taking a quick look at compliance. Compliance is when you're like, you have to line up with regulations from either inside your company or from industry. And some of the
Right.
examples he gives are like the National Institute of Standards and
Good
Technology,
old NIST.
NIST. Gotta love them, right?
850.
All over the place. NIST and ISO, they're going to touch just about everything. NIST 853 for federal agencies, the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity, they have their thing, International Organization for Standardization, or ISO.
Alphabet soup.
Exactly. AWS System and Organization Controls, they have their own compliance and security practices that you can follow. And then you get into the heavy hitters, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA, and General Data Protection Regulation, also known as GDPR, and Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards, or PCI DSS. When you start talking about those three, and you're trying to provide some sort of solution in that space, you gotta have your stuff tight
together. Now, AWS supports over 140 different standards and compliance certifications, but these are the 7 big ones for AI, and not even just AI, for your infrastructure as a whole. They all apply. It doesn't even matter what your workload is. Definitely. And it goes on to say that compliance is complicated because it has to align with legal and ethical and technical. And there's so many different things. And it says here, unlike traditional software, AI brings a few wrinkles that complicates the picture. It changes things. Let's think about this.
Yeah.
When you deploy an application, right, and you have your sprints and you're doing iterative changes, right? You have it in such a way that if you need it to go back, because we're using GitOps and things, you can go back, you can roll it back, you can do what you have to do. You can, maybe move traffic away from some systems. There's a lot of things you can do. AI complicates it because there is so little transparency, right? You're not writing the code. You're not training the models. Most likely you're not on scope 5. Most of us are using pre-trained models and things of that nature. And some of them aren't open source. So you don't see how it comes to these decisions, right? So you got to consider that. And models evolve and change.
Yeah.
So there is no there is no consistency once deployed. I mean, I know the rate of change in a lot of organizations can be very, very great, but that's a moving target, right? Because the things that you had to worry about in the very beginning, they're there at every iteration of your model. And it's adapting and it's learning, So when those sentient beings take over, you know why, right? Because that's what AI does, right? There's the last thing is accountability. That never changes. I hear that New York City has passed laws requiring disclosure and review on automated decision-making tools. So here's an example. Say I am getting a mortgage and I put my application in, and me and my 850 going in and saying, I'm getting this mortgage. And it's like, denied. Wait a minute. Wait, hold on. One, that doesn't even make sense. But you have to have insight and disclosure into how these decisions are made. That's the transparency of it. And having a human in the loop, right? I don't want, most of us don't want AI making these very critical, life-changing decisions without a human in the loop. So, having that accountability and to be able to understand how decisions are made and to be able to explain that, right? That's the transparency part of it. And those are the challenges for AI compliance. That list I just mentioned. And I forgot emerging capabilities because we can't plan for everything. We never know. So
you don't know what's the world, the environment changes as we go, and if your system isn't adapting to that or isn't ready to adapt to that, then you might run into some problems there. But of course, we're using AWS, and they have all of these compliance tools that help
Hello.
us tackle these problems, right?
Imagine if you didn't have that. Like, how do you
It
do this on your own?
it would be a slog. It would be a schlep. Let me think of
Where are
it,
these words coming from?
I don't know. Yeah, it would be crazy. But we have AWS Audit Manager to automate evidence collection for audits. We have AWS Artifact for accessing AWS's compliance reports and certifications. It includes documents like SOC 1, 2, and 3 reports, ISO certifications, and PCI compliance documentation. Amazon Inspector for continuously scanning EC2 instances, Lambda functions, and container images for known security issues. And AWS Trusted Advisor for evaluating your AWS account against best practices for
Yes.
security, fault tolerance, performance, service limits, and cost optimization. So, I mean, we like we said, we're talking about AI in this particular context, but these are things that you can use across the board, no matter what you're doing in AWS, right? Because I use AWS Trusted Advisor even on my little dev accounts, and it'll say, "Oh, you're doing great, everything's good," or it'll be like, "This server has been running for too long, and it's costing you this much. You should probably turn it off." And I'm like,
You have
"Okay,
this rule in a security group. You might want to.
yeah." It's like, did you mean to leave this open?
You were testing, but you know what? You might want to go in and fix that. That's true. I have
Yeah.
a question for you.
Yes.
Have you ever been part of an audit? Like, had to prepare for an audit?
I have not.
Really?
Yeah, fortunately, I have. Well, internal security audits,
Nope.
yes, but not for something that is HIPAA, GDPR, SOC 1, 2, 3,
Gotcha.
et cetera, et cetera. Most of the applications that I've worked with are internal applications for users within the enterprise or organization. So my compliance is at a much lighter lift than somebody deploying an application that's externally facing for
Gotcha.
end users and outside of the enterprise or organization.
Okay. I was just curious. I did once.
Yeah.
It was a doozy.
Oh man.
And this was
Really?
pre AWS, so you can only imagine.
Oh
This
my
was
goodness.
a long time ago. I mean, the fact you think about what goes into an audit, and you have to confirm your controls and your IAM, and imagine having to. We killed more trees. we had to hand in these huge reports and those days are gone. Count your lucky stars. But the idea hasn't changed. AWS has just made it easier to run this reporting and be able to tell you if your environment is compliant or not, and where is it falling short. So yeah, the cloud has made people's lives harder and easier at the same time.
Right?
For sure. It really has. All right.
No doubt.
So more terms, more services.
Yes. Yeah, add that to your vocabulary
Yes.
to know going into the exam. And then he goes into data management concepts. And it's another circle graph with lines kind of going around. I don't have my interpretation of this particular one.
Me either.
So if you can pick up the book and check it out, maybe.
Let's just let people know when we talked about security. We already talked about compliance. Now we're in the governance section.
Thank
section.
You.
So
yes, indeed. And so for this one, he mentions data life cycles where you're collecting, processing, storing, it's your training, and the retirement of the data after you've used it. And then it kind of branches out from there on both sides. Data logging to the left and data resiliency to the right. Data logging is your input and output of data, performance metrics, and system events. Resiliency is the physical location. Sovereignty, put a pin in that and come back to that.
Yes, we will do that.
Right? Data monitoring, where you're looking at quality, consistency, relevance, and any sort of changes. Data analysis, where you're looking at statistical summaries, visualizations, and exploratory data analysis. And then data retention, like how long you got to hold on to this stuff for legal compliance or retraining or managing your storage. But that sovereignty is key, particularly if you're using HIPAA, GDPR, or you're working with software that's made available to European users, because they got some rules for you. You don't want to mess around and like slip on your GDPR compliance, because you're storing what EU users' data outside of the EU or something like
Yes.
that, or they can't access it, they can't control whether you delete it or retain it. And I mean, he even mentions data retention. You could be fined for that, and they can,
Yes.
ask for large sums of cash from your organization.
So again, this doesn't just apply to AI workloads. I think we're finding that that's a theme, but these are definitely important when you're
Mhm.
managing AI systems. You could probably smack this circle in many different
Mhm.
environments, many different silos. And do we want to talk about them? I think the rest of them, they're all pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But data residency, it's where your data physically resides, and that
Mhm.
matters in some places.
Yep.
Not all places, of course, but you have to understand, especially when you're talking about high availability.
Yes.
Um, Depending on where in the world you are, I don't know who else has um, residency or sovereignty
Sovereignty
rules.
requirements.
I don't know who else does. We know that the GDPR is part
Yeah.
and parcel, like that's the OG. But I
Mm.
wonder if other maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe
Yeah, I
that's the only
wonder.
one. Maybe they're the only
Mm.
forward thinking nations that, like, you know what, I need to protect my people's data.
Yeah, yeah. That is interesting that they called it
Is
out like that. But like you said, we are in the cloud era, and AWS does have services for governance. So here's another list of services for you to keep in mind. AWS organizations, for centralized account management and
mm-hmm.
policy enforcement, AWS Control Tower for setting up multi-account environments,
Love
applying
it.
guardrails and baseline configurations, AWS Config to track configuration changes,
That's
resource
that girl.
relationships, and
We love
compliance
it.
audits. AWS Config is kind of dope. I actually wrote a lab for Pluralsight on AWS Config, and I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun
Really? Okay.
working with AWS Config. Yeah, yeah, that's fun. And then AWS CloudTrail to log API activity across AWS accounts and to do user and service activity monitoring. So if it
That's the
happened in AWS, you're going to see it in CloudTrail. There's going to be a record of it there.
Yeah, I
So
had I had a coworker who was using my system for something. We have a sandbox account, and I was showing this new person on our team this system and the security groups that, there's some security groups that you have to apply on any system for whatever for a lot of good reasons, right? But then I'm looking, I'm like, what is this security group? I didn't do it
mm,
because I always my name is in every name, like the word
yeah,
Angela. Oh, it's in everything I do. It's got my name in it. So you
okay,
ain't got to worry who create. Never mind. And I always make it a tag. So that's another thing. And
yes,
I was like, who did this? Good old CloudTrail.
wow,
And I already knew who would do it, but CloudTrail just confirmed it. So
yeah,
I told the new person, I was like, yeah, it was so and so. I put my security group back because his was much
mhm.
more permissive, than mine was.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
what the heck did you put? What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? But anyway, um, she's that girl, CloudTrail. Somebody
yeah.
go messing around with stuff, go look at CloudTrail. You're gonna find out who did it when.
Like, who did it?
Yup.
Yeah, you can't hide from
Oh
CloudTrail.
no, no, not at all. Another thing, I remember in test accounts, right? You kind of it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. There's no
Mhm.
real change management, right? You're just kind
Yeah,
of doing
yeah.
whatever you need to do. And because it's test, we don't have to leave stuff running. Why would you do that? And I
Mm.
remember when someone had changed the timing on a Lambda that shut systems down. And I was
Mm.
wondering, like, why are my systems uptime so high? Why am I not coming in turning them on? Like, and I thought I had like, wait a minute. Let me again, CloudTrail. I'm like, who
Mm.
changed it? So anyway, not just for AI workloads, but when you're trying to figure out who's doing what in your environment that you're managing or that you're maintaining. CloudTrail logs every API call
Yeah.
everywhere, and it's a very helpful tool, I will say.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, I went on a whole aside about that. I got so
No,
many stories. So many stories.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's good to know though. Definitely good to know. Um, there's more that he goes into. I don't want to, and honestly, my notes for this, like I said, are raggedy over the
Mhm.
last little bit of this portion of the chapter. So I was wondering if you want to just jump to the quiz. I got a couple good
Wait,
questions.
yes. There's
But
one more service that
yes.
I did
Oh, did I
not
miss
know,
one?
never heard
Okay.
of. Model cards, SageMaker model cards.
Yeah.
I didn't know that
Not
was in
familiar with it
Sage.
either.
Do you recall them mentioning it earlier in the book?
No.
That's what I was like. Okay, this is something. It just tells you it's a way to document your machine learning model, right? It tells the story what the model is used for, where the data's from, any licensing, or any known biases, risk. And I'm like, did we? I know you probably see it. Like, I know you. I'm assuming when we were inside of where were we? Were we doing that? Where you could get all the information about licensing and what it
Yes.
does. That I likened that to a model card. This one says SageMaker, but we were inside of Bedrock.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the same thing. But anyway, I that was one I had not heard of. So
Yeah, and I can imagine that's helpful, almost like some sort of infrastructure as code type of way to capture what was used in a system.
mhm,
Um, for the model, like you mentioned, the data licensing risks or whatever the case is. So you have that record, you have that artifact that you can grab. If somebody says, "Hey, what's going on here?" Well, this pull out your model card is how
right.
we set it up. Like this is what we use. So yeah, I could definitely see that being useful.
All right, let's go to the quiz. I'm trying to find my little
All righty.
3x5 card that oh, here it is.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I got my quiz here in my little blue book. This
All right.
usually I keep digital notes, but because I was on the move, I was like, let me get a notebook so I can write stuff down and take
Good
notes
stuff.
and read as I go. So I pulled a couple questions from the chapter 9 quiz. And yeah, let's take a look.
Let's do it.
First one, chapter 9, question 1. What is the key difference between governance and compliance? A, governance enforces laws while compliance manages innovation. B, governance protects data while compliance ensures ethical AI development. C, governance guides decision-making and risk management while compliance ensures adherence to external and internal rules. And D, governance is optional, but compliance is legally mandatory for all companies.
Some of these
Okay.
answers go a bridge too far.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple we can just get rid of really quickly. A, innovation.
And
I
D.
say get rid of that one. D, yeah, one's optional, one's mandatory. Yeah, get rid of that one. Which leaves us with B and C. Governance protects data while compliance ensures ethical AI development. Sounding less plausible to me, which leaves C, governance guides decision-making and risk management while compliance ensures adherence to external and internal rules. And I mean, we can go to the next answer. Are you confident to move on?
I think yes, I think it's C.
Okay. See. All right. And it is indeed C. And that was like our whole discussion, talking about governance is how you figure out the risk that you can take while you're using some sort of AI or implementing your AI, while compliance is adhering to rules and regulations like HIPAA, like GDPR, like
That's right.
ISO, whatever. Yeah. So you got to be on point for those things with compliance. All right.
What else do you have?
One more question here. Chapter 9, question 2. In AWS, what best describes the purpose of a defense in-depth strategy?
Ooh.
A, to rely on a single strong security control. B, to use multiple layered security measures to catch threats that bypass one control. C, to automate model training and inference pipelines, or D, to combine multiple security layers so if one fails, others can provide protection.
You almost said whatever the answer verbatim earlier.
I did. Yep. I really did. And I will say I picked this question because I paused on it. This one has some really good distractors in it.
Okay.
And I think, and we'll get into this in the next little part of our discussion when we talk about preparing for the quiz, is like you have to read for comprehension. And so we're talking about defense in depth. Like to me, depth means more than one
Multiple.
thing.
It does.
Yeah. So I would get rid of A because you can't rely on one single security control. So I would get rid of that one. And then I would probably get rid of C because defense in depth doesn't really have to do with model training and inference pipelines. So that's a kind of a whack distractor. So I would get rid of that. I
wouldn't even call it a distractor. It's taking up space. So
yes. But that leaves B and D, which are very, very similar. So you have to read for comprehension.
I agree.
So I mean, what approach did you use to figure this one out?
Well,
I went back and forth for a long time.
I'll tell you, B sounds so on point, so on the nose, but it says catching threats that bypass one control, right? So that leads me to believe if it got past the one, then it's good. Oh, well, you've caught the threat. But there are some vulnerabilities that can maneuver past multiple controls, right? So that one, to me, having it, it just bypasses one. Well, so you only have 2 layers, maybe? Like it made me think that didn't sound sufficient. It didn't sound like, yes, it has multiple layers, but if it bypasses one, what if it's something so unique and such a new vulnerability that it can bypass multiple? I'd hate it. That doesn't sound like defense in depth, bypassing one. I think that's why the bypass one control, I threw it out the window because that didn't sound like it fit.
Okay. Yeah. I use a similar approach because I was like, if it bypasses one, it's got to be something more than just the one, right? It's got to be more to it than that. So the others is kind of like the word others can provide protection, or then like catch threats that bypass one control versus others can provide protection. Sounds to me more like defense in depth. So I went with D.
Depth. I agree
as well. And sure enough, the correct answer is D, to combine multiple security layers. So if one fails, but yeah, I think this is one of those questions where you do have to read the question, read the answers carefully, and then figure out what the best answer is for the correct answer.
Well, that is a perfect segue to chapter.
It is a perfect segue. Chapter 10. Hey, this is Michael from the editing booth. Please excuse this interruption, but our discussion on security was so involved that Angela and I went overtime talking about chapter 9. So we're splitting this one into 2 episodes because what's coming up next is just as important. In the next episode, we dive into chapter 10 and break down real strategies for passing the AI practitioner exam. See you there.